Hey everyone, this is the Stranger Things Season 3, Episode 8 recap, title The Battle of Starcourt. I mean, I just finished watching this episode. I'm going through a lot of emotions right now. It's a very emotionally heavy, is that a real word? Emotionally? It's a very emotional, heavy episode. And anyway, when I get to spoilers, I'll say spoiler alert. So if you don't want to, spoil it, you can stop and just hit subscribe or whatever. But a lot happens in this episode. I have to say, as far as season finales go, this was absolutely fantastic. It did not disappoint. I mean, this past year we went through the atrocious season finale of Game of Thrones, and this is not that. This was peak entertainment. I mean, you're going to have tears of joy at the end of this thing. It is so sad, but it is so beautiful how it ends. What they do with every single character does the character justice, and they don't, gyp us on, any of the payoffs and any of these storylines. So, I mean, it's even tough for me to talk about it because it's just so rare when a TV show just ends really, really well. Now, luckily, we're going to have one final season, season 4, which is going to be, I believe it's going to be this December, which I'm really, really happy about. I have no idea if they're going to go back to the Upside Down, but what they do with this episode, it's just fantastic. So let's talk about it. So, Stranger Things season finale recap. You are now leaving Hawkins, Indiana. And that's the thing. It's like this whole series has taken place in Hawkins, Indiana, middle America. We've seen these kids when they're real little kids. Now they're approaching young adulthood. They're going to start leaving, getting jobs, going to school, just kind of going their own separate way in life. And so it really is, a coming of age tale. It's really amazing. Okay, that finale will take some time to process. First and worst things first. This is a spoiler alert, so just like plug your ears right now. Hopper may or may not be deceased. We're not really sure. I'm hoping he is not. I have some inkling that he probably is not, but it kind of leaves it potentially that maybe that's what the case is. Except maybe he's not, since there's an unseen American being imprisoned by Russians in the tag that ends the episode. But as far as our Hawkins heroes, no, Hopper will never more serve as police chief. No more coffee and contemplation. No more grumpy barking of orders. No more contentious courting of Joyce. No more Miami Vice and Elle. Hopper's gone. His supposed death has also led to a splinting of central characters. The Byers clan, now filled out by Elle, leaves with some vague promises to visit, breaking up the old gang and putting a strain on some romantic relationships as well. Hawkins will never be the same. But first, how do we get there? Short answer, destruction. So much gets destroyed in this season finale. The Russians upside down opening laser, which was really, really cool when you see what happens with that. The teeny subdural mind flare, the giant mind flare, all the Hawkins residents absorbed by the mind flare, Satan's baby, which it's not really Satan's baby, but it's a giant firework, so that's pretty cool. It's what we saw in the last episode with Lucas grabbing the fireworks. Billy's car is a pretty sweet car. The Todd father's car, that was pretty cool. Dustin's dignity, Elle's powers, Erica's ability to maintain she's not a nerd, Mayor Klein's career, which is hopefully over, and of course, all those broken hearts. Chapter 8, The Battle of Starcourt, stays true to its title, starting with an opening that finds the kids taking desperate measures to rid Elle of the mind flare parasite that's crawled inside her. And it is so nasty. Like, they cut her leg, and you could see, like, Steven's fingers like going in there, and it was just nasty. The prosthetics that they used, the special effects that they used, and the makeup was fantastic. There was a little bit of CGI, but you could tell that was some practical effects. It looked really, really good. A lot better than what we're used to seeing nowadays. Um, Creature only finally killed when it meets the business end of Hopper's boot, and with that stomping the gangs in one place for the first time. This season, though the reunion won't last for long, after constructing a battle plan, they break off into subgroups with names like the Scoops Troop, really good, the Griswold family. Okay, that's like a straight up reach back to National Lampoon's Vacation. And Bald Eagle, and Handle Murray Resents. That was pretty funny. Retreating to the hill overlooking Hawkins, Dustin and Erica playing a guide, Murray Hopper, Joyce through the bunker. Meanwhile, everyone else prepares to retreat to the safety of Murray's hideout. After some tender moments, they spring in action. Great plan. What could go wrong? A lot goes wrong. The X factor here turns out to be Flayed Billy. And I have to say, like, what happens is character is really heartbreaking, but really noble. So you have to definitely check that out. Who disabled Nancy's car, forcing Nancy, Jonathan, Will, Elle, Max, and Mike back into the food court. That leaves them with two problems that turn out to be related. They can salvage the party they need from the car Elle trashed in the previous episode, but Elle's powers seem to be failing her. She can't even crush a new Coke can, much less sling a car around. Then a third problem presents itself. The Mind Flayer, now the size of a mall, it's freaking huge. And somehow the Stranger Things has found a way to make it even scarier than their previous appearances. Meanwhile, Hopper, Murray, and Joyce infiltrate the Russian base with extreme prejudice, thanks to Hopper taking out a bunch of soldiers with a machine gun. It's played for laughs, and the last episode's Russian deaths were treated pretty casually as well. In Stranger Things, life is precious unless it belongs to a stinking commie invader. Undaunted by the killing, Joyce suggests they go to the Enzos for a date. At last, and Hopper agrees. Looks like this relationship is finally going to go somewhere. What's really, really cool about this is like you finally see Hopper and Joyce really come together, and there's a moment near the end of the episode that they have with one another that you really see that they care a lot about each other, and it's really heartbreaking what happens in it. Back at the mall, Steve and Robin ram into Billy's car, but that doesn't prevent him from making his way into the mall and brutally taking down Elle in order to feed her to the Mind Flayer. And he'd get away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids and their arsenal of fireworks, which proves to be an effective delaying tactic until Elle, drawing on Billy's memories, sets the muscle car loving tough guy against the Mind Flayer. Rather than let the Mind Flayer take Elle and wipe out his stepsister and her friends, Billy sacrifices himself, which keeps the Flayer at bay while Joyce, Murray, and Hopper close the gate to the Upside Down. After all of this drama happens, there's 3 months later that pass by, and the postscript sustains the mournful mood, despite some comic business in which Robin and Steve get jobs at a video store run by Keith. Keith's like that really nerdy guy. Last seen in the previous season running the arcade, everyone's either moving out or moving on. As the buyers hit the road, Will leaves his Dungeons and Dragons material behind for Erica, who seems a little more comfortable inching out of the nerd closet. Jonathan and Nancy go their separate ways. So do Elle and Mike, after Mike assures her that her powers will return and they share one last kiss. One not interrupted by a Corey Hart impression. Then suddenly there's a note that they discover, and it's the note that Hopper was writing to 11 about Mike. And it was like, you know, you're going through these changes. I realize that, you know, he was basically explaining teen angst, you know, but you have to leave the door open 3 inches. And it goes through this beautiful narration by David Arbor, the actor David Arbor that plays Hopper. And it just really hits you like deep in your heart, you know, and you can just feel that love that he has for Elle as like a daughter, the daughter that he used to have that had passed away, you know. And how much he really cares about her and wants her to be happy, but he's really looking out for her best interests. And if you can watch that, if you watch the whole series, invested in the characters, and if you can watch that moment at the end and not get teary-eyed, I don't know if you're even a person, because it is absolutely just beautifully written, beautifully acted, and edited flawlessly. I mean, just to perfection. It's truly amazing. But anyway, that's basically the gist of this. Everybody comes together. There's self-sacrifice in this episode. I would say the motto, the overarching topic or theme in this episode is self-sacrifice and redemption, and I really like that. I'm pretty old school when it comes to storytelling. I like self-sacrifice and redemption. There's an old wise saying that there's no greater love than when a man lays down his life for his friends, and I have to say that is definitely the theme of this episode, and it's really, really beautiful. It's in many ways timeless, and um, I just really hope that season 4 stacks up to this season. I think this is by far the best season. 1 is my second favorite. Season 2 is my third favorite. But I hope this final 4th season, they don't just kind of keep the story going for Netflix, for viewers and subscribers. I hope that actually they go somewhere with the characters that is meaningful and we're really going to love. And I hope the whole thing ends beautifully, giving everybody, a nice send off into the sunset. So anyway, I would have to rate this one. This is a out of 5 stars. I mean, I want to give it a 5 out of 5. I would give this a 5.5 to a 6 out of 5. I know that's impossible, but I don't really care, because this episode was I just think it was amazing. I really do. Anyway, let me know what you think about it. Do you think it was fantastic? Do you think that it really wrapped up this whole final season, or season 3, I should say? And anyway, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you want to get future rants, reviews, or original content, click subscribe. Later.